Dalley Show, because all opinions matter, and George Soros will pay good money for them. The show starts now.
I am William Wallace, and I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You've come to fight as free men, and free men you are. What will you do with that freedom? Will you fight? No! We will run, and we will live. Aye. Fight and you may die. Run, and you'll live, at least a while. And dying in your beds, many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
Oh, yeah, I love him. Oh, Mel Gibson. Have you ever looked up what his father the things that his father believed in and tried to say out loud? His father, Mel Gibson's father. You should look that up. Welcome, Kate Dalley Show at your service today. In this first hour, I want to address a topic in this first hour. I did a little bit yesterday on why do we listen to talk radio? And I loved your calls. Thank you for those. And so many people wanted to get in on that. And so this hour would be a perfect hour for that. In fact, if you're listening in the afternoon, this would be a perfect time to call 888-673-1450, 888. Okay. Everybody knows that, right? 888, right? Typical 800 line, right? 888 and then 673-1450. Okay. So I want to bring up something in the news from yesterday, the new CDC pick. But before I go there, I want to address something I've addressed before, but maybe in a little bit of a different light. And then I have a big ask. And it doesn't involve you spending money. Don't get worried. But it's a very, very big ask. And I'm hoping as listeners of this show that you'll help me out. Okay. So yesterday I said, why do you listen to talk radio? What are you there for? And honestly, I was thinking of the fact that you're probably there because something doesn't seem right. Something you want to get down to the bottom of whatever issue it is, and you want debate. We all want to learn, right? And learn about our history, because I think we've all realized by now that we've realized that we've learned this history that has been shoved down our throats, but is it necessarily true? The importance of talk radio. We've talked about that on the air, and I've been doing this for 14 years. Okay, 14 and a half years. It's crazy when I think about that. It's a long time. I never wanted to do talk radio. I actually never liked it, to be honest with you. I would always listen to music. If you listen to my bumpers, I'm all across the board on bumpers. I love music, but and I'm a guitar player. I love music, but I was never a talk radio person. And I never really understood the purpose of it. Now, being in talk radio, I do now because of the fact that I'm looking at this large landscape of news and opinion. And we seemed to have a big problem, okay, in the information, debate, opinion section, okay, the comment section, okay, in America. And so that is, I started really getting into talk radio as I was kind of plunked into doing this job and started realizing how much I didn't know. Now, most people, when they're hired for a job like this, it's not because they know everything. It's because they don't know everything. Now, I want you to think about that for just a moment. They mostly don't know anything. And why is that? Why is that the preferred talk show host sort of qualification? An interest, but don't know anything, is because I think what they truly want out there in America is a lot of hosts that will just repeat the AP news. That seems to be the preferred, as long as you just repeat the talking points given to you, then you can be a talk show host, okay? So I want to go back to 2020 for just a moment, and I want to illustrate a point. I've talked about this quite a bit on the show because it does illustrate a big point, but it's a different point today. So back in 2020, I knew in my gut from day one, back in January of 2020, that when they started saying mysterious illness, and they started saying that not only is it mysterious, we don't know what it is, but we also have the cure. All right. We started seeing that everybody was struggling to try to find toilet paper. We had shortages of just about everything, but you could have a shot. Those were easy to manufacture. No shortages there. Think about that. The shot was already manufactured. It was already ready to go. They just had to put a name on it to the so-called mysterious illness, and therefore they were ready to go. And at the end of January, Fauci announced that they already had the cure for it, even though they hadn't even named it yet. They had the cure, coincidentally, all ready to go for you. And we were all supposed to believe this. Now, the one thing I noticed in 2020 was that we were the only people that I knew of in America. And believe me, I got letters from all over the place. People, avid talk show hosts, talk show radio listeners, that said there wasn't anyone questioning it. There wasn't anyone questioning it. And they were shocked, surprised by that, because there were a few thinkers out there, and they were just really shocked about that. So they said, well, your show, we're tuning in from all over America to my local station to try to get some information on what was really going on, because they could feel in their gut something was off, but they had to try to find somebody on the radio that would address it. So you had music DJs, you had politicians, you had local politicians like mayors, you had governors, you had representatives, senators, congressmen, all the way up the federal food chain. And everybody was going along with the narrative. Everybody was going along with, you got to lock down. There's a mysterious bug and it's going to kill you. And this was the narrative in America. And it was very, very strange to find a show that was actually debating it and laughing at it and saying, we don't believe this, do we? Like, this is ridiculous. Are you kidding me? They just happen to have the shots ready to go. And this is insanity. Okay, so we were pointing that out. And we had listeners from all over the country, because there was no one in their local area that actually had anyone questioning it whatsoever. All the ads you heard were, get your shot. All the AP news was go get your shot. There weren't any journalists questioning it. There wasn't anybody, no opinion pieces questioning it. That was even shocking to me. Nobody was really saying anything about it. Everyone was just saying, that whatever the government says goes on this, because it was our health. Now, it's really strange to see that all over America, because we are an America born of freedom of speech, and we are an America born out of questioning and debate. Okay? And I'll talk about that in just a second. So what happened? Because mostly talk radio on the right is, because it is of the right, because the left has their talking points coming right out of the AP news. That's the leftist media. Okay. So the right was supposed to be there to debate it. And even Zero Hedge wasn't debating it. Even they were all in on the shots, remember? And even a very, very popular talk show host that all of you probably listened to was building a bunker in his home and hunkering down for the apocalypse. Okay. So it seemed like everybody was in, hook, line, and sinker. Everybody was in. And I didn't hear anybody saying the contrary. I didn't hear anybody even with a single question. I never heard a mayor of a city say, wait a minute, really? Are you sure about this? What's going on? Now, to his credit, President Trump actually did question it in the beginning. I will say that. He was questioning it. Okay. He was saying, are you kidding me? We're locking down the country. This is ridiculous. But then he did Operation Warp Speed. Okay. So we had a situation where I'm looking around, and in studio, we were just boggled by this. We could not understand why there weren't more questions. Even like everybody that had any part, even a city council member or a music DJ, or everybody was going all in on the shots. And here, talk radio on the right was born out of questioning the government. We questioned Syria. We questioned, what was going on there. Although most people weren't. Most people were saying that we had to go in on that emotional hunt of, we have to go in and take out Assad. So there were very few voices. There were some voices, but there were very few across America even questioning that. But for the most part, I would say talk radio is taking the AP narrative, the narrative that is very, very controlled, AP and Reuters, and then you question this, okay, or you appear to question it. Now, there's a lot of hosts that appear to question, and there's certain talking points that they take in, okay? And this is how you know you can kind of decipher between just a host that doesn't ask any, that just kind of goes along with whatever the producers give him as talking points, or hosts that actually delve in and do their own homework. But there is a point to which you're going to try to find somebody that sort of aligns with what you believe. What we used to do, though, was challenge the point of view all the time. We always challenged it. And what I mean is that we had the Gazette of the United States supported the Federalist Party. We had the National Gazette that supported the Jeffersonian Republicans. Benjamin Franklin owned and operated the Pennsylvania Gazette, which became the most successful newspapers in the colonies. These newspapers were talk radio of the day. Okay? So prior to the Revolution, you know, we had unusually high literacy rates. We had people that wrote very eloquent pieces of opinion. The English crown, prior to the Revolution, began to regulate and tax more activities in America. And so politics became highly relevant to our daily lives, to all of those living in the colonies, because this was so new, right? This new line of thought that we were going to own our government. So newspapers sprang up all throughout the colonies, and most of it was political intent. I mean, it was weather, it was poetry, it was humor, it was goings on of the day, mostly weather. That's what they talked about. But it was opinion pieces eloquently written. And this is where, you know, Ben Franklin comes in too. There were pieces written that the colonists were not represented by the English Parliament. Up to that point, you had kings telling you what to believe in. You had kings saying this is the narrative. And then, of course, this was the new talk radio. This was to challenge it. Okay. So we had all these opinion pieces that would dissect the Constitution, that would dissect principles, that would dissect ideas and inform. And people loved it. Okay. They loved it. And you had newspapers spring up all across the country. When I come back, I will take calls, by the way, but I have more on this that I want to explain. I just want to explain something today. Be right back. And then Mavin Rae is coming on too. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Goodbye, Joe. You gotta go, me oh my oh. You gotta go for the hero down the bayou.
I love music. Welcome back, Kate Dalley Show. Okay, phone lines are open, 888-673-1450. Why do you listen to talk radio? And we did not get enough calls in yesterday. I could not take as many calls as I wanted to, is what I'm trying to say. So, and I know you were trying to get in because it's important. Why do you listen? Why do you listen? And honestly, there's some things about talk radio that I need to point out because it's such a weird landscape now of you have the AP News and you have Reuters and you have CNN and you have Fox News. And they're usually all singing about the same tune, which is very strange, right? You think Fox News and CNN is different. I know you guys don't, but most of the USA does. They're not. They're owned by the same owners. So you have a narrative, and then talk radio is supposed to point out the questions, supposed to point out the debate. It's supposed to point out and inform, okay? Yet, on the right, it sounds like most of the time, all the hosts sound very similar. Very, very similar. It's like the talking points of the day, okay? And I want to give you kind of an example of that. Yesterday, Susan Monarez was put in by President Trump as the new CDC pick. Okay. Now, is anyone telling you that she loves trackable, wearable vaccine devices that she would like to force on people? Is anyone telling you her long history about being with Gates and Bill Gates' history? Is anyone saying anything like this? Anybody? No. The three things that you're hearing about Susan are this. Number one, if she's confirmed, she faces a number of public health challenges. She'd be the first non-physician to become permanent head. Despite questions over her role in the agency's actions, she's going to have some questions, but it'll be a smooth process because she's likely to go through. And of course, her views on vaccines are not entirely clear. That's a lie. They are entirely clear. She loves them. She's been behind them from the get-go. That's why she's the new CDC chief. You're not being told she loves trackable, wearable devices. So talk radio is supposed to debate this today. Are they going to debate it? Are you hearing that? You should question why you're not hearing that as much as you should be. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes, Kate Dalley.
Yes.
This is why I listen to you. One, I own a computer for my own intellectual property, but I refuse to go on the internet. Now, number two, I don't listen to you on the radio. I listen to you on a landline.
Okay.
And you come on Liberty Radio,
Mm-hmm.
which is 641-741-0258.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there are I have four other
Mm-hmm.
numbers that I call in.
Okay.
Now, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bombarded by the blue light from a computer that literally destroys your dopamine, which destroys your sexual urge.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And I'm not bombarded by radiation. I don't feed the AI stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go about my daily,
Mm-hmm.
jobs, and it's a delight. It's wonderful.
That's nice. I like that. Okay. And you want to learn, right? So.
I have notebooks that whenever there's an interesting guest or,
Mm-hmm.
or the speaker is saying something that's really good,
Yeah.
I have a notebook ready.
Good.
And I take notes.
I love it.
You know that reading and taking notes,
Mm-hmm.
not on the screen,
Right. Okay.
that will keep Alzheimer's away for a long, long time.
Smart lady. Thank you. I love the phone call. Thank you so much. I love it. I truly do. I love it. Very unique. Okay. I love that. So the leftists own the opinion columns. Leftist editors own the opinion columns. Leftists own the media. Government owns the media. It's like the king in ye olde England before the revolution saying, this is the news. This is how you should feel about the news, and this is the news. On the right, we are supposed to debate everything. We are supposed to question everything, okay? We're supposed to offer up what they used to do in all of the rags across the country were all about opinion and fighting over the principles and debating over, it was hot debates over the principles. We are supposed to do that in talk radio on the right. But, big but, you see a lot of the talk radio on the right giving you the exact same opinions, exact same offerings daily. Why is that? I'll be right back. You got to stay on for this, and I'll take your calls too. 888-673-1450 if you're listening in live in the afternoon, or you can listen to this on podcast, katedalleyradio.com. Be right back.
Well, hello everybody, it's Amy Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. finish this painting, but I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfthestudio.com.
Is the Kate Dalley Show.
And we sang dirges in the dark the day the music died. We were singing bye bye Miss American Pie.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Dalley Show. KateDalleyRadio.com. All right. You know, I'm going to tell you to go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate and take advantage of the huge buy one, get one sale going on right now. It's buy one, get one, you guys. Ivermectin, fenbenzynol, the hormones that you need, whatever you need. Buy one, get one. Are you kidding? Come on. Allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. Okay. I'm also going to tell you about Cozy Earth because Cozy Earth also supports the show, and you get the most amazing sheets of your life in luxury, and they're fantastic. And I still wear their loungewear that's amazing and washes fantastic. So CozyEarth.com, and the code word is Kate. Also, I'm on xamericanews.com for free at night. America News on X. You'll want to check it out there too, and you can watch it. Okay, so here's the deal. I want to go back into history for just a moment. There was an important moment in getting the word out, if I could call it that. Letters from a farmer in Pennsylvania to the inhabitants of the British colonies in 1767. 1767, pretty close to 1776. This is a very, very important moment for us to understand what it was we were about to launch in America before the Revolution, okay? The series argued that because the colonists were not represented in the English Parliament, therefore they could not properly tax them, the series was published in over 20 papers in the colonies. All right? They used these newspapers, led by Samuel Adams, to inform 260 towns on issues of overbearing English policies and invited them to express their own opinions on the matters. These are very literate people, okay? And incredibly, most of the towns responded with community leaders drafting documents and the whole town voting on the responses. Think about that for a moment. There was a call out to the people of America to start expressing their opinions, to get engaged in that debate, to start understanding what it was they were about to take on so that people had a proper perspective of freedom and liberty and what it looked like. Because at that point, people still regarded the English English Parliament as the authoritarian mechanism. So they had to really get into debate and opinion to understand what our true role was going to be and how we were going to I can't talk today, to design our government. Okay, it was really important. Now, in today's realm, you have station managers and station owners and all the people that own media, television stations. They all decide what they're going to put out. And I always celebrate the owners and managers who are willing to put out debate and commentary that defies, debates, and informs differently from the narrative, because the narrative is coming from the government. The government owns the AP and the Reuters News. It all comes out of the Pentagon. When you understand that history, then you understand how vital and important it is to actually go up against that and say, well, what about this? And what about that? And hey, we need to inform, right? Okay. So the importance is not understated. The importance is amazing that the people in this country that own the media outlets allow contradictory statements to be made, things that they might not even align with, that they might not understand themselves because maybe they're not doing research till 3 a.m. It is imperative that we have dialogue, questioning, because look what happened in 2020. We had people that were listening all over the world, all over the country, all over Canada. It was insane how many people were listening in to the show. How do you think we got to 27 million, over 27 million podcast listens just since 2020? How did that happen on a show that is not advertised anywhere? There's not been one article written about it. It is completely under the shelf radio show, right? And how did that happen? How did it happen? Well, it happened because people were able to find it, and it resonated that, hey, something's off, something's wrong. My gut's telling me something's wrong. Where can I go so I can see that I'm not alone in thinking that something's very off here? Every single politician on board with the narrative, nobody questioning, no journalists writing anything that was even like, hey, I don't understand. Why are we locking the country down with 15 deaths attributed to this mystery? I mean, nobody was saying a word. You could not get any truth of the matter. And so people were tuning into the show. Hugely important thing that we were able to offer up commentary that defied what every politician, every journalist, every editor, everything, everybody was printing, because they were all printing it in stereo. And this was a lone voice in saying, I don't think so. Not one local program all across America. And I know this because I got letters from everywhere. Nobody could find anybody that would question anything. Now, I am not tooting my own horn, believe it or not. This is not about that. It's about illustrating a point. If we do not have this kind of dialogue available to us, and by the way, it's just an opinion. Just an opinion. Okay? You can take it, leave it, not believe me. I don't care. You can say you only are with me 95% of the time or 80% of the time, or you question everything I say, but you listen anyway. I don't care. It's the availability of getting an opinion that defies the narrative, that questions the narrative. For 14 years, all we talked about were so many lies in history from the government that you bet I questioned 2020. You bet I did. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? They have a long history of lying to us. Okay? Remember Osama bin Laden? That happened when Obama needed brownie points. And they just suddenly magically knew where he was after all those years? And then disposed of the body? And then disposed of the team that found the body? Murdered all of them? I had the guy's father on, Don Brown. They were all murdered, the ones that found him. Supposedly, Osama bin Laden. Dumped him in the sea. Can't hide, you gotta hide the evidence that's not there. We questioned that on the air. That's a pretty big lie. It's a pretty big lie. There have been so many lies that I could fill up the shows with just the lies that we've been told. So why would I not question 2020? Why did everybody follow the narrative in 2020? So when I saw hosts, diving into their own bunkers and propping up the narrative and not questioning it, I was shocked. I was surprised. I thought, wow, where is everybody? Now, with that being said, there's an ask. I want you to contact the ownership of the stations that play this show live. I want you to contact them. This is easy to find. This will take you a few minutes, okay? And I want you to thank them for putting this show on the air. I want you to thank them for having the insight to do that and for allowing it and for allowing for other voices to be heard. For people that I've had on the show that are not your typical guest, I want you to thank them. They need to be thanked for that right now. And I need you to really listen to me on this. Read between the lines, whatever. Listen to me on this right now, please. I am asking you to go and thank them. Just give them a thank you note for having the insight and for saying that they appreciate free speech in America and that free speech still exists because you have the left talking points now and you have the right talking points now. And I want you to believe me when I tell you that on the right, we have the hosts across America on the alternative media and on the right with talking points. And if you don't go along with those talking points, you are dismissed. That's a big deal. We were a country founded on opinion and debate and being informed and understanding. We need that in America right now more than ever. Considering the headlines, we need it right now. Please do that for me. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Dalley Show, katedalleyradio.com. Okay, there's so much to say. Look, free speech right now is hanging by a thread. I will say things that tick people off. I will say things that even to hardcore fans of the show, they'll go, I don't know if I agree with that. But here's the most important thing, that you are able to hear it. That's the most important thing, that you're able to hear it. It doesn't matter if you agree or not. You know my stance on politics right now in the nation. I think there's a whole lot of theater going on. I've said this over and over and over again on my show. It hasn't made me popular. I'll tell you that right now. I'm probably the most unpopular voice right now because of it. But I wouldn't say it unless I thought it was true. So there you go. I'm just being me. And I study a lot. And I'm sharing with you what I'm finding. The fact that our new CDC pick is Dr. Susan Monarez is not a good thing. Okay? And there's so many things like that that aren't a good thing. Look, we have to be able to see what's coming. We have to be able to be informed and be able to understand what's happening, no matter what's happening in the headlines. And I hope, even if it wasn't me, that there's always a voice that you get to hear that would tell you something contrary to what all of the singing voices are saying to you. Because you have like 2 schools of thought, and I would hope that you got to listen to anybody that would say anything different going on in the news. That's how important it is. And I'm hoping it would be truthful too. But I'm hoping that you would get a chance to listen to anybody that would challenge the narrative. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Hey, Kate. It's Jeff from Washington City.
Hi.
Happy to call in and
Hi.
tell you that I love to listen to talk radio like you. I was a music head and just listened to music all the time, but then you grow up and get older and you need to know what's going on.
So true. That is true.
So I mostly listen to it just to stay informed, but I'm not a mindless drone.
Yeah.
Like, the other big talk show host out there from Texas. I'll listen to him, and I listen to him for news. Don't necessarily take 100% everything he says. I go out and research it myself.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
It's where I get my information from.
Good. I'm so glad to hear
when
that.
It comes,
Go ahead.
When it comes to your show, the reason why your show is so important is I've had the chance to see you face-to-face. I know you are. You're full of integrity. I just need everybody listening to know that you do your research, you're full of integrity, and you bring to the table what other people won't. And that's what's needed, is other points of view. Because some talk show hosts, it even seems like they may agree with you, but they aren't going to say it on the radio because of who they answer to.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't answer to anybody, which makes your show really.
Thank you. I really appreciate your phone call more than you know. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Look, this is about free speech. This is about what's happening in this country right now. When you have a lot of voices on the right parroting each other and saying all the same thing, talk radio should have never been a vehicle just to make us happy. Happy, happy, happy. Okay? It should be about people that come together that want to learn, be informed, debate, understand principles, get a different point of view. That's what it should be about. Talk radio is not the happy juice. That's music. Okay? Talk radio is a different animal. It's supposed to be full of debate and questioning the narrative, questioning what the kings are saying, okay? And for me, all of government, all of DC, something's wrong with all of DC. I'm not tribal, and there is something to be said for hosts that aren't tribal, because people tend to hire people that are more tribal in this arena than somebody that's willing to invest their time learning history. I've spent over 38,000 hours learning history and investing time into it, because the goal wasn't to be famous or make money. It was to learn, to know what truth was in this country. And it doesn't matter if you don't agree with me all the time. You don't have to. That's not what talk radio is about either. It's not singing to the choir. It's not, answering to that. It's about bringing points up and perception and getting us to see things through a different lens than we're used to, and challenging our thoughts, challenging what we're about. That's what freedom of speech was always supposed to be about. It wasn't supposed to be about hearing the choir. But in America right now, you have everything on TV and everything in print, all newspapers across the country following the AP and Reuters, and that's the leftist point of view. And then you have the right point of view, and on the right, it's all about the talking points of the right, and they don't go into different areas. If you notice, there's topics they won't explore. They won't talk about 9/11. They won't talk about the moon. They won't talk about anything. They'll just stick to the talking points of the day. Why would you want that? Why would you want everybody on one page? You're supposed to want debate, healthy debate on everything in free speech land. Hi, caller. Make it quick.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to call and tell you I love you. I've been listening to you for a long time. I agree with 96% of what you say. And
I love it. 96. That's good.
Oh, yeah. You're just... My folks got me started on this when I was a teenager. I'm 75 now, and you're spot on.
Thank you. Thank you. You just made my day.
And I just appreciate the heck out of you.
Aw.
So
thanks.
I know Uncle Soros is causing lots of problems. So
I know. You're right.
Good luck.
Thank you. Aw. Yeah. Thanks for the calls today. It's really helpful. It really is. It's hard. It's really hard, because I'm looking at alternative and the right media, and I'm looking at the left media, and I'm going, who's in between with free speech here? We should be able to talk about anything on the air. You shouldn't be offended if I bring up the moon. You shouldn't be offended if I ask questions about it. You shouldn't be offended if I bring up the capture of Osama bin Laden or Syria or war or any country that we can't name, right? You shouldn't be offended by that. You should be earnestly seeking out what different points of view on it are. If we truly had free speech in America and we valued it. I need you to thank the local stations that carry this show. And I need you to do it now. I really do. Freedom of speech is hanging by a thread, folks. It's hanging by a thread, and I can't stress that enough right now. And thank, Ex-America News. Thank all the formats. Thank them. I'll be right back with Mavin Rae. Don't go anywhere. Kate Dalley Show, katedalleyradio.com.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Kate Dalley Show, America's newest addiction. The show starts now.
I am William Wallace, and I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You've come to fight as free men, and free men you are. What will you do without freedom? Will you fight? No! We will run, and we will live. Die, fight, and you may die. Run, and you'll live, at least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
All right. Hello, fellow freedom lovers. Welcome. Last hour today. Kate Dalley Show, katedalleyradio.com. So glad you're joining me. And of course, I have Mavin Rae with me, and we've got a lot to inform about in this next hour. So I always appreciate that. Mavin Rae, hello, how are you?
I'm good, Kate. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. You've got a great update on the Corporate Transparency Act. Another update?
It's kind of ridiculous that this just keeps going.
Okay.
But the reason that it keeps going is because Congress has not done their job. They tried to kick the can right down the road. And because they have done that, the Treasury Department actually has good news for us, at least for right now. So on March 21st, the U.S. Treasury Department issued a final interim rule that confirmed that the U.S.-based LLCs and corporations are exempt, hallelujah, from the beneficial ownership information reporting requirement. So this is a major win for small business and legally binding after the comment period. And again, as you were kind of talking about, in the last segment, a comment period is fantastic because it allows the public to let people understand what they're thinking, good or bad. And a lot of times it's kind of overlooked. But if you have a vested interest in this, please feel free to go onto the fincen.gov site and, let them know that you're very appreciative, right? Because you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So, if you want somebody to go along with a good thing, then please comment positively.
What's the website?
It's fincen.gov. Or you can just Google the BOI requirement, right, with the U.S. Treasury, and it will pop right up.
Okay. F-I-N, right? Frank.
F-I-N.
F is in Frank.
C is in Charlie, E is in Edward, N is in Nancy, .gov.
Okay.
But that clarifies the domestic reporting companies, who are the LLCs and the corporations that are formed in the U.S., they do not need to file that BOI report with FinCEN. And it also clarifies that any U.S.-based LLC or corporation who has reported does not need to amend or update their filing. So this is a significant development that brings clarity to what was previously a temporary pause that was put in place after the press release from the Treasury Department that I talked about last time, that came out on March 2nd, where they signaled their intent not to enforce the BOI rules. With this formal rulemaking, business owners can rely on an official exemption right now. So this ruling applies across the board, regardless of ownership structure. So that means it includes entities owned by U.S. citizens or non-U.S. citizens, as long as the company itself is U.S.-based. And for those who've already filed that BOI report because you were tired of the back and forth, I got a lot of pressure from other individuals who are like, I'm just doing it. This is just crazy. I don't want to go to court. But if you've already filed, you don't have to do anything else. And for everyone else, you don't need to file a thing. You don't have to give them any more information.
Good.
So it's really a major win for small business owners who saw that that BOI reporting rule was unnecessary and really a compliance burden. But again, the issue isn't really fully settled because the Supreme Court, Congress, and potential future administrators, right, could all influence whether the rule is permanently eliminated or resurrected in some way, as there is a case pending in the U.S. Supreme Court, right? It's not going to be determined till the fall. And there is a bill in Congress that could solidify this interim rule. So keep your fingers crossed. Because, and again, give some feedback, give positive feedback, tell the Treasury Department, tell the administration, thank you so much, right? This is fantastic. Please don't burden us with this, trying to make this shadow. I feel like it's a shadow database, right? Just in case they take away the IRS.
Right.
But since we're on the topic of government missteps, we should talk about a dangerous food loophole that's still in place and has been ignored by the government and the media. And again, I was really surprised. I caught what you had to say about why is it that the media on the right is really missing a lot of big things, right? And I felt like this was kind of one of those things that they should have amplified, and they really didn't. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about this story, and then we'll get to that at the end. But if you're like me, you probably, at least you used to, gain some sense of comfort when looking at an ingredient list that's on our packaged food. I actually like to use an app called Yuka, Y-U-K-A, to see what items are risky and know a little bit more about the ingredients that I can't pronounce. Nutrition labels are there to give the customer clarity on what they're about to ingest. And even when you don't recognize a particular ingredient, you are told that you can rest assured that it's been rigorously tested and that all those ingredients are safe.
Okay.
Well, back when I was not on the radio, I used to think that that was the case, right? Especially in college, I thought, hey, because the nutrition labeling thing came out, and I thought, hey, this is pretty cool.
Right.
Well, in the U.S., ingredients of questionable safety end up in our food supply constantly, thanks to a legal loophole.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. We have a caller for you. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
And no disrespect, but I don't think I owe the government any explanation or any apology for something that's completely unconstitutional.
Okay.
Why should I call the Justice Department and tell them anything?
Okay.
And I would say to my fellow business owners like I am, I wouldn't tell those guys squat.
Okay.
Don't call them up. Don't give me your name. Don't do anything because it's none of their business.
All right. I like the point of
we
view.
should keep it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to feel apologetic to something that's
Okay.
clearly illegal.
You're right. You're right. No, you're right. 100%. Thank you. Really appreciate the call.
Thank
I
you.
really do. I really do. I understand exactly why he's saying that. So I get it. Okay. Well, let's go back to the food label. So as far as that goes, it's YUCA, right? .com?
The food labeling?
Yeah. YUCA is the Yucca?
Oh, Yuka.
Yucca.
Sorry, it's
Yucca.
just it's an app.
Oh, okay.
And you can download it onto your phone.
Okay.
And you scan a barcode on any food or cosmetic that you find in the grocery store, and it's shocking what pops up.
Okay.
But with this legal loophole that still exists, a really good example of it happened in June of 2022. And a Reddit post made by user Han2466 titled Extreme Stomach Pain Sickness from Lentil and Leek Crumbles explained their situation, stating that they started having extreme stomach and gastro pain and ended up in the hospital. The hospital couldn't figure out what was wrong with this individual, but they said that they had elevated liver levels and spent 26 hours in the emergency room. They ended up getting an MRCP, which is like a special MRI scan. And they explained that they also had jaundice of the skin. They ended up taking Han2466's gallbladder out. So after this post came out, a lot of concerned readers connected the dots of their mysterious illness to a product made by Daily Harvest called Lentil and Leek Crumbles. These crumbles ended up resulting in numerous emergency room visits for thousands of consumers and stemmed from this popular meal delivery service.
Okay.
The doctors couldn't figure it out. So, and Daily Harvest was really baffled as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was it salmonella?
Right.
Was it pesticides in the food? But another reader commented that this product left numbness in her fingers and she saw dramatic vision changes. Well, a single listed ingredient was finally pinpointed as the cause of this mass poisoning, an ingredient the FDA would later deem as unapproved food additive.
Mm-hmm.
And how this ingredient wound up in Daily Harvest's recipe is infuriating. It turns out our food safety system is rigged towards ignorance. So in June 2022, Daily Harvest issued a recall of its lentil and leek crumbles, and by July, the company was able to single out an ingredient called terra flour. Now, terra flour comes from the seeds of the terra plant. The food industry uses other parts of the terra plant without such dramatic results.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, processing flour from its seeds is an express ticket to the emergency room.
Oh, wow.
So terra flour made it into the Daily Harvest recipe because it was labeled by the industry as generally recognized as safe, or GRAS.
So it was recognized as safe. It's a ticket to the emergency room. And so, oh my gosh. Yeah, I think this happens more than we think.
Definitely it does.
Wow.
Now, in 1958, Congress passed this law called the Food Additives Amendment. And they basically broke up ingredients into two categories. And the first category is food additives. So think artificial flavors that the FDA has to explicitly approve. And the second is the generally recognized as safe, or GRAS category. So the idea was to allow ingredients that were already in the food supply to remain in the food supply. Really basic stuff like salt, pepper, things like that, and not to have companies prove that salt and pepper are safe. But GRAS substances can be novel substances that are found in the environment, processed foods. They can also be entirely synthetic chemicals, and that's part of the problem.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it. I mean, we just have to, instead of even relying on government, we've got to rely on ourselves too. I mean, there's a huge responsibility factor in consuming the things that are probably closer to home, or probably a little bit more easy to identify, and things like that too, right? I mean, there's probably a lot to the fact that we the people have to do our homework, because we rely on these things through government. I don't know that we ever should. So
that's true. We really do need to get away from a lot of the processed food, right? But again, for so many years, for decades, people have trusted. They have been very naive, and they've put their trust in the wrong place.
Yeah, that's true.
But through this GRAS categorization, companies don't need the FDA approval to put basic time-tested ingredients in these things, right? But as part of
we're going to go to break. We'll be right back. But on that on that big butt, we will come back. On that big ding-dong Twinkie eating butt. We'll be right back. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com with Mavin Rae.
Well, hello everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
My private tool, the boat, my tools, my dreams, the dog, the cat. Yeah, I think that's just about everything. Oh, I almost forgot. Do you want fries with that?
Do you want fries with that? Welcome back, Kate Dalley Show. And I just want to make sure that you knew to go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. You can take advantage of the BOGO, the buy one, get one on ivermectin and fembenzenol and all the hormones and different things that you might need. They have it all, but ivermectin and fenbenzonol, we should be taking those together about every 6 months and should be getting rid of parasites in our body due to the food, due to the air, due to lots of things. But if you consume food, and you're alive, so I know you are, that applies to everybody, that you definitely need to get rid of parasites that are causing so much disease in our bodies. And so go to allfamilypharma.com, and it's a BOGO, buy one, get one right now. Take advantage of that. That's huge. Everybody took advantage in November. Take advantage again of that sale going on. And I also wanted to, again, mention, as I did in the last hour, that Dr. Susan Monarez is the new CDC pick by President Trump. All the mainstream, like, alternative media is not really pointing out the truth about her. She loves wearable, trackable vaccine things that would be mandatory. She's all for that. And she's all for Bill Gates, big relationship with Bill Gates, and she's horrid. She's evil. There's something very, very wrong with Dr. Susan. And so you're not going to be hearing much about all of that sort of stuff on the air, but I wish people would, because then you would realize that the pick for the CDC and then the guy running the show under Kennedy, both are horrid. Says a lot about our health department right now. So people better get up in arms about this Dr. Susan, because she is another Fauci. Okay, so back to Mavin Rae. You were talking about the big butt. We were going to get to the big butt.
Well, just to follow up on that, Kate, you're absolutely right about this doctor that they're putting underneath Kennedy. So how in the world would he be able to do his job if he's going to have that much resistance under him? And if you'll recall, right when the Trump administration came out, they had a couple picks that people were literally appalled by.
Right.
And they got on social media, they called up and they said, whoa, what are you thinking? This is a horrible idea.
Yeah, right.
And those picks actually got pulled back. So everybody has to get on the same page. We've got to get the word out and let people know these connections that this individual has are not going to benefit anybody in America, especially not the average American.
And then can I just say, stop listening to the CDC. It's bought and paid for. It's been in a million lawsuits. It's terrible. It is not for your health. The CDC is one of the most horrid, illegal departments that we have in America. And then on top of that, they control public health, which is the mechanism by which all of you were kind of locked out of restaurants and everything else and wanted trackable, wearable vaccine data so that you couldn't go anywhere or do anything. And by the way, that's not going anywhere. It's coming back in a big way. Here's that warning for you. But I would never listen. I personally would never listen to public health, which is a mechanism of the CDC. I would never, ever pay any attention to what they had to say. Exercise your freedom. All of it is completely against the Constitution. But okay, so the big but, yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, obviously, we can't trust the government. And you've got the CDC, and then you've got the FDA, and it's so frightening to me to learn about how they define food additives and how this process with this GRAS, or generally recognized as safe, has actually gone forward. Yeah. So as part of the definition of food additives, a company has to go through a rigorous review, I'll put that in air quotes, FDA approval, and the chemical is approved in regulation. But when companies found that that was too burdensome, they noticed that in the statute, there was an exemption that if a chemical was considered generally recognized as safe, and this could be a way around the end game. So they decided, really starting in the 1990s, that they could make those decisions without ever telling the FDA. So TerraFlower that we talked about before was allowed in things like smoothies and lean crumbles through the generally recognized as safe exemption. And as terrible as 39 people having to get their gallbladder removed is, it's maybe one of the least concerning things that I learned about GRAS ingredients. So when a company wants to add some new GRAS ingredient to their product, whether that be TerraFlower or something made in a lab, the FDA allows companies to determine independently if it's safe.
Okay, we're going to stop you right there. And GRAS means generally recognized as safe. Generally. Don't you just love the word that they use? Generally. Scapegoat. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show, Kate Dalley Radio with Mavin Rae. Be right back.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Just want a piece of land that can't be stolen by Uncle Sam. My future chickens in the front yard, a night sky with only stars, a good old treasury dime, hang my laundry on the line.
I only want. Isn't that sad that there is a song that says in America that says I just want a piece of land that the government can't steal because I just want some chickens in the yard. Isn't that sad? Think about that for a moment. Oh my gosh. Okay. So welcome back. I've got Mavin Rae with me, and I also wanted to mention Cozy Earth, cozyearth.com, and make sure that you use the code word Kate when you order those luxurious sheets that have a 10-year warranty and 100 days just to sleep in them and see if you like them. You can also return them on the 99th day if you want, but it surely helps this show, and I'm telling you, you're going to love what they've got, and I do, on a personal level. Also, I just wanted to mention X American News on X and go like their page on Facebook. And I also wanted to play this clip. This clip is so good. It's a minute long. It's 5 ingredients not to ingest. I played it last Friday. I'm going to play it again for you. Here we go.
Here are my 5 ingredients that if you see on the back of a food label, you need to run for the hills. Number 1 is high fructose corn syrup, which is also called corn syrup. Number 2 is sodium nitrate, which is a preservative found in a lot of different foods such as deli meats, and it's actually been deemed not safe for human consumption. Number 3 is hydrogenated oils, sunflower oil, vegetable oil, rapeseed oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil. I can just keep going. Number 4 is artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols such as xylitol, erythritol, maltodextrin, aspartame. These are all lab-made sweeteners and sugar alcohols, and when you eat them, your body literally does not recognize what they are, and it doesn't know how to process them. Number 5 is kind of an obvious one, food coloring. Avoid food coloring. Only get colored food that's been naturally colored with things like beetroot powder, spirulina powder. If you're getting stuff for the kids, you should go for those options for sure.
I also want to mention here just a little tidbit for you all. I come from the home state of Utah doing this show, this national show. And I'll say that the late Senator Hatch was no more conservative than Romney, no more conservative than Harry Reid, all despicable. But anyway, Senator Hatch was the instigator, and Rumsfeld and Hatch were the instigators behind getting aspartame, which was said to us that it was a toxin and not for human use, and the other countries banned it. They got it rolling here in America as the #1 sweetener consumed in soft drinks and all kinds of foods. So I just wanted to mention Rumsfeld and the late Senator Hatch, who was in Congress for 200 years, are the ones that got aspartame in. Yep. So anyway, Mavin Rae is with me. And how did you feel about her list of the 5 ingredients?
Oh, yes, our family is off of all of those things. It's very difficult to find products that don't contain one or more of those. But here's the crazy part again, is the fact that those companies, in order to get those ingredients in their products, they literally just went to the FDA and said, hey, FDA, it's safe, because the FDA allows companies to determine independently if it's safe. So the FDA requires the companies to provide tangible data to prove that those ingredients are okay. But basically, they're asking for something to be published. And however, the companies can put it on their website and count that as a publication. So to be clear, this data needs to be published, but not through any kind of publication that employs peer review. So this data and safety determination ultimately gets reviewed by what's called a GRAS panel, but it's not as independent as it sounds. The research has shown that 100% of the GRAS panels are people with conflicts of interest. Financial conflicts of interest, 100%. So there was not one person on these panels who did not have some kind of financial conflict of interest. What was found was that 7 individuals served on 46% of those GRAS panels. Their entire career is deciding that something is or is not generally recognized as safe. What we know is that the scientists that ask the tough questions, the scientists who are critical of the process, of course, they don't get asked to be serving on expert panels because the system is biased to give the company the answers it wants. It sounds just like the pharmaceutical company, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So companies might want to use the new non-FDA vetted ingredient because it'll make their product taste good, like trans fats, or because it's a cheaper alternative to an existing ingredient. Or maybe it stops your peanut butter from getting that unsightly layer of oil on top. And the easiest way to get those ingredients into new food formulas is through the GRAS loophole. So, do we know how many items are entering the food supply like that? The frightening answer is that we don't. One study found decades ago that 1,000 chemicals entered the food supply over a 20-year period. Okay, so that's one route, but there's another way for these chemicals to get into our food supply. There's the tell the FDA version of the story. Okay. So it turns out that the other version is when companies still conduct their own studies, but they ask the FDA to review them. They do this because an FDA stamp of approval gives their product extra credibility, which honestly sounds great to the layperson. In this version, the FDA then can either say, we don't question the safety determination, go ahead and use it, or they can say, hey, actually, we don't agree with your conclusion, and they ask for more data. Here's where the problem is. Okay. The company can then just say, hey, you know what? Cease and desist, stop investigating. We don't want you to keep reviewing this. And then they go to market anyway.
What? So they can just go, don't investigate us, and that's it?
Yes. So the FDA can say, whoa, your numbers are wrong. Your product makes people sick. And the company can say, whatever, pretend this never happened. We're going to sell it anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
This is the problem.
This is amazing. You know, yesterday I was going to mention the Biden administration altered a study to suggest that LNG exports harmed the environment. Altered a study that was found to be altered. And we just don't care when the news comes out later. We don't look into GRAS, generally recognized as safe, and then look at the loopholes and see how these companies are getting these, they're not called, what are they? I mean, we're basically eating Teflon all the time. So exactly. So they get all this passed through and people wonder why we're such a mess. And this goes back to why we should all be growing our own food and eating locally, and everything else is because when government puts their stamp on it and gets involved, this is the havoc it creates. And we're literally eating Teflon and aspartame, which is a toxin that is not consumable. It's considered an actual toxin that we are supposed to avoid at all costs. Isn't that amazing?
That's right. And the general public, even researchers who are looking at new ingredient lists, are not given the tools to determine if the FDA looked at the new ingredient and said it was either safe or unsafe. So no one can tell if the ingredient was ever submitted to the FDA at all. No one has this tool. So our wonderful food labels do not help us answer this question. And Terra flour is a dramatic example, and relative to other additives, easy to catch. A bunch of young people with liver problems ending up in the ER gets noticed fast. But the thing that really concerns me, and I'm sure most people, is when an ingredient's harmful effects could take years to discover. So do you remember about hearing the words trans fats? So that was a huge concern everyone was talking about when I was going through college nutrition. Those were generally recognized as safe. But the discussions we had in those classes as students and the professors at the time all recognized that based on their structure, they were harmful and caused real problems for the body. paper after paper found increased heart disease risk from those trans fats. And then 30 years later, the FDA said, you know what? You're right. Industrial trans fat should be removed from the food supply. And only in 2023 was it actually finally removed.
Wow. Wow. Okay. We're gonna come right back. All right. With Mavin Rae. But remember, what brought all this on? It was in the late 1800s. The Rockefellers started saying that we were overpopulated and that we had to mass produce food in this way. And then we had to have the government overlook the mass production of food. And then we had to add fertilizers with so many chemicals. And this is what kicked off what we're even talking about right now in the early 1900s. Was that it was started on a lie that we were overpopulated at the time. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show. More with Mavin Rae.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Kate Dalley Show.
There's clatter, there's chatter, but something's the matter. There's someone who's being ignored.
Would you pass the biscuits, please? Would you please pass the biscuits?
That is Jimmy Dean. Yes. See, playing the bumpers, no one plays on the Kate Dalley Show. You're welcome. And Jimmy Dean, please pass the biscuits. So welcome back. I've got Mavin Rae with me. I actually get my supplements because people kept emailing me and wanting to know, where do you get your supplements? I take supplements from FIQ, supplements.com. So FIQ, that's F as in Frank, FIQ supplements with an S.com, and use the code Kate. You get a discount on already low prices, but they have the best ingredients, and this is why, because I like to look at the ingredients, and their ingredients are actually going to absorb into your body, which is a huge plus for you. So instead of buying over the counter, I would never buy over the counter supplements ever. Mavin Rae is with me. Here we go. All right. So where do you want to start?
Well, right where we left off.
Yeah,
so
that'd be good.
We were talking about how long it takes for these things to come out of our food supply, but the evidence for the FDA to remove them has to be overwhelming. And just off of the trans fats, I think that the number was around 26,000 people that they're claiming a year.
Wait a minute. So they can get through on a loophole by saying, don't investigate me, and it slides right through, but then they have to have a number of people say they want it removed in order to remove it?
It's backwards, right?
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, so the FDA does have the explicit authority to monitor health effects of ingredients that we're exposed to over time that could cause cancer or other issues after years of exposure. But the FDA does not exercise their authority to do any of this. So it's almost like, well, it is. The system is rigged towards ignorance. You do just enough to be able to determine that it's safe, just enough to get it through the FDA review, just enough to have a hand-picked team of experts that you picked, that you pay, who will agree with you. And for the Terra flour, the FDA revoked its GRAS status, but it took them 2 years to do it. They still can't say that Terra flour is the problem, but they can say that Terra flour has not been shown to be safe and shouldn't be used in food. So again, it's baffling as to why the FDA hasn't done more to vet the safety of ingredients before and after they end up in our kitchens. And it's astounding to think that their job is literally to ensure the safety of our food supply, and why they're not doing more of this, right? I think we all can tell, it's hard to say why exactly the FDA isn't doing their job, especially in my background with nutrition and food science. I thought I knew what foods were good for me and what foods I should avoid. And for the most part, the things I learned held true. Of course, when RFK Jr. began running for president, I began to understand more about the behind the scenes politics and corruption that was allowing all of this processed poison to be added to our food supply. And still, after independent safety evaluations, even back when Nixon was in office,
wow.
they looked at brominated vegetable oil and how awful it was. It took 53 years to remove it. And the trans fat took 30 years to remove it.
And that's when our devastating, horrific, evil little food pyramid came out. Wow.
That's right.
Yeah, go look at
That's
a
right. So the
picture of people on the beach in 1969 compared to now. Go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah, not fat.
And the food industry, basically the food industry is policing itself in America. And that's where this GRAS loophole is is how they're doing it, right? That's how they're getting through all of these things.
Right.
So when experts, talked and agreed that the FDA is slow and more likely to react to something that the public is already up in arms about, they're more on board to actually go after it than being proactive in exercising their authority. And they claim that, it's a lack of budget, it's a lack of resources. I don't know why, USAID wasn't, funding the FDA, because they would have had endless amounts of money to do all of these things.
Right.
But the crazy part is, around 2000 to 2010, Europe said, we're going to go back and look at all of the existing substances. And we're not going to just assume that because it was safe in 1960, that it's still safe.
Yeah.
And as a result, they pulled so many things out of their food supply. It's one of the reasons people think Europe is healthier, because nobody has GRAS loophole like we have.
Right.
And it's really a weakness in our system that undermines the credibility of our food. So our food system is finally being scrutinized by both political parties. And RFK Jr., who we are all familiar with, has made food safety a priority, stating that he wants to do more research to understand the relationship between the food additives and chronic disease. So we did try back in 2024 to pass the Toxic Free Food Act. However, it never went anywhere, which was very, very depressing. But two parts of that act were something that I felt was pretty good. One was that the GRAS loophole would be removed, and they would have to actually approve the chemicals and review them before they would be added to the food. And the second one was to look back at existing chemicals and figure out and test them and make sure that they were really safe. Right? Because why should Reddit users on the internet have to figure out on their own, by either going to the emergency room or not, if something is good in our food supply? So one thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that last week on March 13th, Robert Kennedy Jr. said that he wanted to investigate GRAS. And yet I have heard nothing about it on the mafia media, and I've heard nothing about it on the right media. But RFK Jr. knows about GRAS, and he stated that he's directing the FDA commissioner to start the process of changing the rules to eliminate the self-affirmed GRAS pathway for these new ingredients. And he's calling on the FDA and the NIH to conduct improved post-market assessments of GRAS chemicals that are currently in our food, so that we can rapidly identify the compounds that are making Americans so sick.
Right.
And so that American consumers and regulators can make informed decisions, which obviously, if we're going to make America healthy again, we can't wait for Congress, because they're just not getting it done.
Right.
So right now there are around 10,000 of these so-called GRAS chemicals in our food. And by contrast, in Europe, there are 400.
Wow.
So a little bit of a difference there, right?
Just a little.
No wonder why we've got 80% of Americans considered obese right now.
Wow.
And my hypothesis with all these chemicals, plus the chemicals they add to water, air, the bioweapons they give our livestock, our pets, our infants, the pesticides and herbicides we spray around and inside our homes, is that the obesity is less about overeating and more about hormone imbalance. All of these substances build up in our body because we can't process them, and they disrupt our endocrine system. So our endocrine system is thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, right? And we wonder why we've got people gaining so much weight around their middle, cortisone, stress hormone spikes, infertility, low sperm count. the list goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, man. There's so much to say on this. We need to do a part 2 on this, really and truly, because Thomas Massey has had some comments about, food and about what people could drink with food stamps. That's a whole nother discussion we'll have this week. It's insane. Food is insane. And thank you, Mavin Rae. Really appreciate you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be faithful, be fearless. Really appreciate you guys.